Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
You can use Acrobat to create buttons within pages of PDF documents. Buttons are similar to links in that a person viewing a PDF can click them to launch an action. However, buttons have more complex features that can be adjusted, and buttons can be created from scratch in Acrobat rather than being linked to existing PDF content. Buttons can be configured to launch a variety of different actions, for example, submitting data, opening a file, or going to a different page. To create a button, open a PDF in Acrobat and then click the Rich Media button found in the Create and Edit section of the Tools Center. The Rich Media view of the document then appears on screen. Notice that the Rich Media view includes its own toolbar just below the Common Tools toolbar. Click the Add Button button within the Rich Media toolbar. The cursor will display a blue rectangular button tool. Click to place this button at the desired location within the PDF page. The button then appears on screen with a bounding box and the field name tag opens. You can use the resizing handles of the button's bounding box to change the size and shape of the button if needed. Type a name for the button into the field name tag shown or accept the default button title. Then click the All Properties link to open the Button Properties dialog box. You can see many tabs of settings appear within this dialog box. If you resized the button, which closes the field name tag, note that you can simply double-click the button to open the same Button Properties dialog box. Click the General tab to see the general button settings. The name of the button appears in the name field. To add a tooltip to this button, which is an informational message that appears when a user hovers over the button, type the tooltip text into the tooltip field. In the Common Properties section, you can see properties usually set when a button is added to a form within Acrobat. You can use the Form Field dropdown to set its appearance within a form. You can click the Orientation dropdown to set the orientation of the button within a form. Click the Appearance tab to see the button's visual settings. In the Borders and Colors section, you can click the Border Color or Fill Color color boxes and then select a color from the drop-down menu to apply a border color or fill color to the button. If you select a border color, then you can use the Line Thickness dropdown to select a border thickness and use the Line Style dropdown to select a border style. If the button will include text, you can set the font size, text color, and font in the text section by making choices from the drop-down menus that appear when you click the Font Size dropdown, the Text Color box, and the Font dropdown, respectively. Click the Position tab to specify the exact position and size of the button. You can use the Units drop-down to select the units of measurement to use for the positioning and sizing of the button. Then enter values into the left, right, bottom, and top fields to specify the button's position, and enter values into its height and width fields to specify its size. If you check the Do Not Change Height and Width when changing the position checkbox, the size of the button will remain fixed if you enter values that will reposition the button on the page. Click the Options tab to set the layout, text, and icon settings of the button. You can use the Layout dropdown to select a layout for the button's text label and icon from the menu that appears. If you select any choice that contains an icon from the Layout dropdown, you can then click the Advanced button to open the Icon Placement dialog box. This dialog box lets you set the appearance of the icon within the button. You can use the When to Scale dropdown to choose when to scale the icon in the button. You can then use the Scale dropdown to select a scaling method to use if needed. You can check the Fit to Bounds checkbox to fit the scaling to the boundary shown. You can then use the slider shown to set the position of the icon within the button. When finished, click the OK button. You can use the Behavior dropdown to select the button's animation behavior when clicked. The label and icon settings for the states of the selected button animation then appear within the Icon and Label section. You can select a state within the State list and then enter the label to apply to that button state into the Label field. You can click the Choose Icon button to open a Select Image dialog box. Click the Browse button within this dialog box to navigate to and then select the icon file to use. Note that you may need to use the Format dropdown in the lower right corner of this dialog box to display the file format of your button's icon. After selecting it, you can then click the Open button to return to the Select Image dialog box, where you can then click the OK button to add that icon to the selected button state. You can then repeat the process of selecting a state and setting the icon and label for each as long as you selected the Push Choice from the Behavior dropdown. Otherwise, after setting the icon and label for the up state for the other choices, you are then finished with this tab. Click the Actions tab to set the actions that occur when a user interacts with this button. Click the Select Trigger drop-down menu to choose the interactive event that makes the associated action happen. The mouse up event is very commonly used to associate an action with the release of a mouse button after a user clicks the button. Mouse down is also used for the same purpose, but is triggered by the downward clicking of the mouse button versus the release of the button. You can associate actions with rolling over the button by choosing the mouse enter and mouse exit events. You can choose the on focus and on blur events to associate an action with the event of gaining or losing the focus of the application. After choosing the triggering event, then use the Select Action drop-down menu to choose the action that occurs when that event is triggered. Notice how you can attach the same actions to buttons that you can attach to links. After you select an action from the Select Action drop-down in the Add an Action section, click the Add button. Depending on the action selected, an additional dialog box will open and prompt you to specify additional settings for the selected action. After you enter any required information for the action, notice that your selection has been added to the Actions section in the Button Properties dialog box. If programming multiple actions, you can select an action in this list and click the up and down buttons to reorder the list of actions. You can also click the Edit button to reopen the dialog box associated with the selected action, or you can click the Delete button to delete a selected action. When you have all of the button settings the way that you want them, click the Close button at the bottom of the dialog box. To test the button, choose the Selection tool found in the Page Controls toolbar and then click the button. The button should execute its assigned action. Depending on your action settings, however, you may also see additional informational or warning message boxes that appear. To edit a button that you have added, click the Select Object button within the Rich Media toolbar. Then double-click the button to reopen the Button Properties dialog box. Click the desired tab to make changes to the button settings as needed. Then click the Close button when finished. You can then click the Selection tool within the toolbar to test the button again if needed. To delete a button, click the Select Object button within the Rich Media toolbar. Then click the button to select it. Then press the Delete key on your keyboard to delete the button.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.